Hey, how's it going everybody? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to these top 5 mods that you need to play in 2025. These are going to be a mix of overhaul mods and also individual mods that you can add into your next mod list that have recently come out in the beginning of 2025. And oh boy, have modders been cooking, because this is probably one of the best starts to the year that we have actually ever had. Now I am only going to talk about mods that aren't locked behind a Patreon paywall, and of course I'll leave a link to all the mods down below in the description so you guys can check them out for yourself and start that brand new Bannerlord campaign. However, before we get into this epic 2025 list, a word from today's sponsor. Are you tired of skipping breakfast or scrambling to find time for a proper meal? Well, good news, HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit, has you covered. They say breakfast is the most important meal of the day, and HelloFresh agrees. Right now they are giving all subscribers free breakfast for life. That means with every single HelloFresh order, you'll get a delicious breakfast item at no extra cost. Now that is starting your day right. And if you are worried about meal variety, don't be. HelloFresh offers over 30 calorie smart and protein smart recipes every single week, so you can stay on track with your goals without getting bored. Plus, everything comes pre-portioned and delivered right to your doorstep, making healthy eating easier than ever. And with summer behind us and busy days ahead, HelloFresh is perfect for saving time and money while still enjoying wholesome home-cooked meals. Each box is fully customizable to fit your preference, and since the ingredients are all pre-portioned, you only pay for what you need. So don't miss out, click the link in the description or scan the QR code on screen to get 10 free meals plus free breakfast for life. Start your HelloFresh journey today and taste the difference. And once again, a massive thank you to HelloFresh for sponsoring this video. So on to #1 of the list is of course going to be Tales from the Age of Men. This is the Lord of the Rings modification that actually started late last year, so already they have made tremendous progress with this mod, and at the end of January they went ahead and released a kind of a playtest for people to jump in and mess around with. This playtest included the entire Gondorian roster, the Gondorian campaign map, along with Rohan being implemented a little bit later in a further update. On top of that, the mod has a absolute ton of just kind of random scattered units. It had Uruk-hai, it had Uruks, it had Mordor units, along with Dunland and Rohan, and I think there's even a couple Elven units in there. So whereas this mod doesn't necessarily give you the ability to do an entire playthrough, it's still a mod that if you want to get that Lord of the Rings fix, you can do so by kind of going in and creating your own fun. All the lords do have their own appropriate army, so if you want to play as Gondor and go and fight some Uruks, you can do so. Just Mordor on the campaign map won't be fully completed. But I think as of right now, where this map and this mod really does shine is going to be in the custom battle side of things. You can take all the units out for a spin in custom battles, and there's even some that you can use with the enhanced battle mod if you want to get really technical. And I know they are planning future updates when Mordor is fully fleshed out, and same with Isengard, so that way you'll have a little 4-faction campaign map that you'll be able to actually get your teeth really stuck into. As I mentioned, this mod is mainly around the custom battles at the moment, and I think is absolutely perfect to get that Lord of the Rings scratch. Mod number 2 that we're going to be talking about in today's video is going to be the brand new 6.0 Realm of Thrones update. If you have been waiting for a big mod to come back to Bannerlord, then this is the update for you, because they went ahead and changed so much. It is actually pretty mind-blowing. The biggest thing in this update has to be the new White Walker invasion. I think Bannerlord suffers from a big late game boringness where there's just nothing really to do. However, in the new Realm of Thrones update, they've implemented a brand new system where the White Walkers invade, and oh boy is it scary. You even have options to completely turn up the difficulty to make them just this unstoppable force. But basically in the beginning of the game and throughout your campaign, they'll be taking over wildling camps, they'll be conquering stuff north of the wall, and then when you hit a certain date, which again I hope they do allow you to edit so you can make them come sooner or later depending on what you want, they invade, they attack the wall, they move south, and they basically just continue to raise more undead after every single battle, conquer more lands, more castles, and you basically have to become strong enough to be able to repel them, send them packing, and reclaim the wall. Speaking of the wall, they've also implemented an absolutely gorgeous new map for the wall, Castle Black, Eastwatch, and a Winterfell siege siege scene. These new scenes are absolutely beautiful, and they really go around the theme of the White Walker invasion. I found myself in my campaign going up north to try and defend the wall, because there's also battle maps for if you're fighting on the wildling side of the wall, and also vice versa as well. I will say though that these maps are extremely large, so I feel like a lot of the times they are a bit finicky to mess around with, but just the pure spectacle of the map itself, it is completely worth it. Fighting large battles, defending the wall, the undead just spawning, coming down the ladders, attacking from every direction. It becomes, yeah, just really, really impressive, and honestly some of the toppest tier of Bannerlord maps out there. Also, of course, just mentioned the White Walker invasion event. There are also more events that they have implemented, stuff like Aegon's invasion, so again, you're going to be getting plenty more, and that also includes Daenerys' invasion as well of Westeros. So not only are we going to be getting kind of these big map changing events, you also now get these. They've also made it so that if you haven't played this mod in a while, you won't know this, but they have also made it as well so alliances do shift. For example, when Renly dies, then all of a sudden his lands switch over to Stannis, and again, when that happens, some of the lords that join the Westlands actually join the Westlands, so you have almost this dynamic campaign map, which is really, really impressive. For that, in this update, we also get brand new horse armors, which look absolutely amazing. They've also gone ahead and improved massively the house troops. If you befriend certain factions, you'll be able to get some of their top tier specific soldiers. Stuff like the Hawkeyes for the Brackens were absolutely amazing. The elite Arryn cavalry, the winged knights were just impressive in my campaign, and there's so more that they're implementing constantly throughout the campaign itself. And I think overall, Realm of Thrones finally feels like the first Bannerlord mod that kind of almost feels finished, if that makes sense. You know, you have this entire game progression, and you also have an ending point to go and meet. You know, once you defeat the Night King, once you push back his armies, you're happy to call the campaign right there. And I feel like it's just, yeah, it's a really good paced campaign from start to finish. So if I was to recommend you playing any of these mods on your next Bannerlord playthrough, Realm of Thrones 6.0 would 100% be top of that list. So far we've talked about one very much a work in progress mod, we've talked about one very much, I feel like, finished mod, and now we're going to talk about a mod that has recently received a pretty large scale update, and that is the cinematic combat mod. Now this isn't an overhaul mod, this is one that you're going to be slotting into your next campaign, into another mod list. For example, you could use this with Realm of Thrones, you could use this with Tales of the Age of Men, but this mod goes ahead and adds in custom animations into the combat to make it feel a bit more alive. It's not just soldiers hitting at each other, it's soldiers forming up. And if you guys have seen the match combat from Total War, well, these new updates that the modder Artem has done to it has gone ahead and basically implemented that into battles. So now you're going to be able to see soldiers whipping out flashy combos, sliding, doing charges into battle. And honestly, when you're using a mod like RBM alongside this one, it really just brings battles alive. And the best thing about this mod, and I think one of the best things about everything in total, is the fact that you can completely customize the rate at which these happen. So if you want these to be very sparing, if you want these to kind of only pop up now and again, but you can then point your hand over and be like, oh my god, that was epic, you can do so. And if you want to go on the other scale and just have a battle where soldiers are whipping out flashy moves on the battlefield, they're jumping into spears and you're seeing the, you know, soldiers on the floor crying out in pain, you can now do that if you really are that twisted, and you can stick the percentages the entire way up. This is a mod that I will always be using in my campaigns, and again, I think this is a great mod to couple with stuff like dismemberment, mods to couple with like RBM. If you can really slot this one in, and it's going to work with basically any other mod that you use. Okay, so now on to mod number 4. We're going to be taking a look at the reinforcement system, because this mod is absolutely incredible. It completely changes up the way that you're going to be approaching campaign battles. If you're looking for a little bit more of a challenge when it comes to battles as well, this one is a really good one, and it does what it says on the tin. It basically, when you start a battle, just like in vanilla, it will drag in all the soldiers and armies that are around you into one battle. However, that net is only so far, and it only drags in as many soldiers that are kind of within the first like a reasonable distance away from your forces. However, with the reinforcement system mod, what it will do is it will then drag in armies that are further away. However, it will give them a timer. So when you're fighting in a battle, say one of the armies is really far away, but it's still like within the parameter, the army will turn up in 5 minutes. So whether it's for you or against you, all of a sudden the battle completely changes. You're now fighting on for dear life until that army arrives and reinforces you and relieves the pressure. And vice versa. If there's an enemy army that's about 5 minutes away and it's about to arrive into the battlefield, you're quickly trying to finish up this battle, kill the enemy, cut the head off the snake before this army does reinforce. And one thing that has recently made it into the brand new update is reinforcements in siege battles now. So if you're defending a castle and you're holding on and the enemy are at the gates, well, reinforcement armies can arrive in time to relieve the pressure, and they'll spawn actually outside of the settlement. So they'll be basically coming in the backsides of the enemy forces, and you know how much Jackie Fish loves to come in the back. Okay, can't. But for real, it's a really awesome system and I'm super impressed with it. On top of everything as well, they have lots of customizable settings as well. So if there's stuff you do like about this mod, but maybe it's a bit too harsh, maybe the area of which reinforcements come in, maybe reinforcements come in too slow or too fast, you can adjust all of this in the settings, and this is just an absolute must-use mod. It takes a little to get used to because some battles you take and you're like, oh yeah, I've got this easy, and then 1,000 men turn up and you're like, oh well, I guess that's GG for me. It takes a little getting used to, but I highly recommend using it because once you do, it provides some of the most epic encounters I've ever had in Bannerlord. And of course, I couldn't make a top 5 video without including Banner Kings. Banner Kings has recently received one of its largest updates yet, and it has completely changed the way that you'll view Bannerlord. If you guys have never heard about this mod before, it's one of the most in-depth and most impressive Bannerlord mods out there. It basically makes the game as best as it can into Crusader Kings 3, whilst also resembling all the epic battles and everything else the mod has to offer. Adding in features like population, technology, a feudal system, ranks and titles, usurping claims, a completely reworked economy to go with all the brand's new goods, village projects, settlement management overhauls, and so much more. And the new update is no different. It has only gone ahead and built upon that. I also want to mention, as before we really get into this mod, it's also the most stable update Banner Kings has ever had. I've played for multiple days and had absolutely zero issues. I know that was probably one of the biggest things that people would complain about when it comes to Banner King, because it adds in so much, it was just quite unstable, and you'd end up eventually getting like a game-ending crash. However, with this one, I've personally not had that issue. I've heard really good things from other people as well. So again, this is like the most stable Banner Kings that you'll be able to get. So again, the perfect time to jump in and play. But with a brand new update, they've added in a complete rework to the warfare system. So not only do you have all the other epic, amazing things that Banner Kings already did, now they've gone in and added in stuff like Casus Belli, as well as war goals. I fought in a war. It was a raiding war against, I think, the Britannians, and the objective of that war was for me to go off and raid, like, I think it was like 10 to 15 villages. And once I did that, the war goal was complete, and I could obviously claim that as a victory. And one of the amazing things about that is it also means that the AI is going to prioritize the war goals of the actual war itself. So again, if we are on this raiding campaign, the AI is going to prioritize raiding villages than they are to actually form up and take battles and take castles. And there's several different types of VCBs that you can actually go and acquire. On top of that, they've revamped how rebellions work, so now when there is a rebellion, they form actually their own kingdom rather than this random faction that doesn't really do anything. So the new kingdoms are really important, again, gaining the CBs against their previous owners. If they can gain independence, they are just a brand new faction in the game rather than a random clan without a faction. And if that wasn't all enough, the modders have also gone and implemented a revamped diplomacy system, adding in truces and trade packs, which will again enhance gameplay in both of them appropriate theaters. So again, if you combine all of this stuff together, it just makes for the ultimate Bannerlord campaign. If you're looking for more depth on the campaign map, you're looking for more interesting stuff. And again, as I've constantly mentioned throughout this top 5 video, is it all comes down to being able to edit the settings, and Banner Kings lets you do that in spades. For example, if you think the game's too slow, you can up the rate at which you gain renowned. If you think it's too fast, again, vice versa. You can change so much stuff in Banner Kings. I would say the only downside for me personally playing Banner Kings, and the reason why I don't do it more, is again, a lot of the units themselves are fairly vanilla-esque, using a lot of vanilla armors, but I do know that there are people working on big unit overhauls for the mod itself. After like 2,000 hours, you kind of get a bit bored seeing the same Valandian armor over and over again, but there's epic armor overhaul mods out there, and I'm hoping someone will create a really kind of cool revamped Banner King's unit system. And again, you can even combine this with Banner King's King's cultural enhancement, which adds in more factions, expansion to the map, etc. It's really awesome. But that is going to do it for today's video. Hopefully you guys saw some mods that necessarily you didn't know about had recently been updated. I know many of you who probably follow the channel religiously probably would have heard of all of these mods as I've made videos on them. However, I did want to make this for people who haven't maybe touched the game in a little while and just want to see what's new. I am also planning on making a video probably in the next couple months talking about everything new just in general when it comes to Bannerlord mods. That's going to cover pretty much all the major overhaul mods that we are looking forward to seeing. Stuff like the Shakuhu, stuff like Shakuho, Kingdoms of Arda, In the Name of Jerusalem 2, and many more. So if you're looking forward to that, let me know down below in the comments, and obviously by dropping a like. Subscribe so you guys don't miss any of my future videos. I'll see you guys in the next one.